It is 11 a.m. A black single father dressed in ordinary worn-out clothes enters the largest and most luxurious bank in the downtown area of an American city, holding an old manila envelope or folder in his hand. As soon as he enters the bank, all the elite customers and bank employees present inside start looking at him with strange expressions. This man's name was Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter had a walking cane in one hand and that old envelope in the other. In the inside pocket of his faded jacket, there was a small, folded photograph of his teenage daughter, Olivia, the only family he had left after his wife passed away years ago. He had raised her alone, working long hours and saving every dollar he could so that she could one day go to college. That is also why his clothes looked so simple, because for Mr. Carter, every dollar saved was a dollar that could give Olivia a better future. He slowly walks toward the teller counter set up for customer service. A female customer service representative was sitting at this counter whose name was Jessica. The eyes of everyone present inside the bank were fixed on Mr. Carter. Slowly, Mr. Carter reaches Jessica and says very politely, "Excuse me, miss. There is some problem with my account. It is not working properly." Saying this, Mr. Carter hands the envelope over to Jessica. But Jessica, judging Mr. Carter by his ordinary clothes, says, "Sir, it seems you have come to the wrong bank. I don't think someone like you has an account in our bank." Then Mr. Carter calmly says, "Miss, please check the system at least once. Perhaps my account is indeed in this bank." Annoyed, Jessica takes the envelope and says, "Sir, this will take a lot of time to look into. You have to wait in the lobby for a while." And here, friends, if we pause for just a moment, there is something worth noticing. How often in our daily lives do we judge a person within the first 3 seconds of seeing them? The clothes, the shoes, the way someone speaks. We make a decision in our minds long before we know who they truly are. In my own view, this is one of the quietest forms of injustice in the modern world because it does not shout. It does not break any law, but it slowly closes doors on people who deserve to walk through them. Saying this, Jessica and the other people present in the bank get busy with their work. Mr. Carter stands there and waits. After a while, he says again, "Miss, if you are too busy, then please inform your branch manager. Actually, I have some business with him too. I will talk to him." After that, Jessica reluctantly calls branch manager Brandon's office on the intercom. She informs the manager that a man wants to meet with him. Manager Brandon looked at Mr. Carter from a distance from his glass-enclosed office. Mr. Carter looked very ordinary. Manager Brandon asks Jessica on the phone, "Is this person a premium client of our bank, or did he just walk in off the street?" Jessica says, "Sir, I do not know that, but he is asking to meet with you." Then Manager Brandon says in an annoyed tone, "I have no time for these kinds of people. Have him sit in the waiting area. He will leave on his own after sitting for a while." Following Manager Brandon's instructions, Jessica seats Mr. Carter in the waiting area. She says, "Sir, you sit over there. The branch manager will meet with you after he is free." Mr. Carter walks from there toward the waiting area and sits on a chair placed in the corner. As he sits down, he gently rests his cane against the chair and quietly takes out his phone to check on his daughter, sending her a short message that he might be a little late picking her up from school. Everyone was still staring at Mr. Carter. This was because everyone who came to this bank as a customer was a corporate person wearing an expensive business suit. But Mr. Carter was wearing very ordinary clothes. Looking at him, it didn't seem like he could have an account in this bank because this bank was primarily known for the city's wealthy and corporate clients. For this reason, Mr. Carter became the center of everyone's attention, and everyone was turning to look at him and whispering various comments about him. These words also reached Mr. Carter's ears, but he ignores all this and continues to wait to be called. He thinks the manager will surely come after a while and he will talk to him. You know, there is a quiet kind of strength in people who have already been through the storms of life. Mr. Carter had buried his wife, raised a child alone, and built something meaningful from his own 2 hands, so a few whispers in a bank lobby could not shake him. And maybe that is the first soft lesson hidden inside this story, that the way a person reacts to disrespect often reveals more about their character than the disrespect itself reveals about the person giving it. We cannot always control how others treat us, but we can always choose whether to let it steal our peace. There was another employee working in a junior position inside the bank whose name was Ethan. Ethan had gone out for a coffee break at the time. He returns to the bank and sees a man sitting in the waiting area whom everyone is staring at and talking about. Someone is calling him homeless. Someone is saying there is no question of him having an account in this bank. How did he get in here? What was security doing? These kinds of conversations were going on. Ethan overhears these words. After that, Ethan goes directly to Mr. Carter and very respectfully asks, "Sir, can I help you with anything? Why have you come here?" Ethan felt the atmosphere was very unwelcoming. He is a little disturbed seeing the man's condition, and that is why he goes to help him. Mr. Carter tells Ethan, "Young man, I need to see the branch manager. I have some business with him." Hearing this, Ethan says, "All right, sir. Please wait here for a bit. I will go talk to the manager right now." Then Ethan goes to branch manager Brandon's office and speaks about the man. But manager Brandon already knew about the man and starts saying, "I know. I'm the one who told Jessica to have him sit there. He will get annoyed and leave on his own after sitting for a while." After that, manager Brandon tells Ethan about other work and scolds him, saying, "You go do your own work. There is no need for you to stick your nose into this matter." Obliged, Ethan gets busy with other work. In this way, the man spends almost an hour sitting there. After being patient for an hour, he can no longer tolerate this neglect. He stands up and heads straight toward manager Brandon's office. As he is walking toward the office, manager Brandon sees that the man is coming right at him. He immediately comes out of the office, stands in front of Mr. Carter, and asks arrogantly, "Yes, mister, tell me what your business is." Mr. Carter hands over the envelope and starts saying, "Look, this folder contains my bank account details. No transactions can be made from my account. Please check and tell me what the problem is." Hearing this, manager Brandon laughs dismissively without even looking at the envelope and says, "Look, mister, when a bank account has zero balance, this is what happens. I think you haven't deposited any funds into your account. That is why your account transactions have been frozen." Then Mr. Carter begins to say in a very calm and firm voice, "Listen, you should check the account in the system at least once. It would be better if you told me something after that. How can you say such things without even looking?" Then manager Brandon says laughingly, "Sir, this is my years of experience in the banking sector. I have been doing this job for a long time. Just by looking at the faces and clothes of people like you, I can tell what kind of person someone is and how many dollars are deposited in their account. I don't see any possibility of there being anything in your account. I want you to leave here right now before I call security. All the VIP customers are staring at you, and the atmosphere inside the bank is being ruined." After that, Mr. Carter places the envelope on Brandon's desk and says, "All right, young man, I'm leaving, but if you get the time, take a look at the details written in this envelope." Saying this, Mr. Carter prepares to leave from there, and upon reaching the door on his way out, he suddenly turns back and says, "Remember, you will have to suffer a very terrible consequence for this behavior." With these words, Mr. Carter walks out through the bank's main doors. Outside, he stood quietly for a moment in the cold morning air, looking at the photo of his daughter on his phone, and a soft smile returned to his face. Whatever had happened inside that bank could not touch the love that was waiting for him at home. And here, dear friends, as the first part of our story comes to a gentle pause, perhaps there is a small thought worth carrying with us. In a world that often measures people by the price of their clothes and the size of their bank accounts, we must remember that real worth is invisible. It lives in how someone treats a stranger, how they raise their child, how they hold their dignity when no one is clapping for them. So before we judge anyone today, let us pause for one breath, just one breath, and ask ourselves the simple question, what if the person standing in front of me is carrying a story I know nothing about? When manager Brandon heard that he would have to suffer a consequence, he became a little worried for a moment, but the very next moment he thought, the man just said that in a fit of rage. There's no reason to worry about it. Brandon goes back to his work. Meanwhile, that envelope containing Mr. Carter's bank account details was lying on Brandon's desk. Later, Ethan notices that envelope. He picks it up, logs into his computer's server, and starts searching for information according to the social security or account number given in the envelope. His eyes widen in shock after checking the old records in the system. He discovers that this person who had come in was not just an ordinary man. He is the majority shareholder and one of the principal owners of this bank. 60% of the bank's shares are in his name. Seeing this information, Ethan is extremely surprised and starts reading the details more carefully. After reading the entire report, he is convinced that Mr. Carter is indeed the main owner of this bank. Then Ethan prints out a copy of that report and takes it to manager Brandon. Brandon was sitting in his office having coffee with a wealthy corporate client at the time, explaining various investment schemes to him. When Ethan enters the office, manager Brandon asks him with a gesture, "What is the matter? Why have you come here?" Ethan tries to explain through gestures that this is the report of the man you insulted and chased away a little while ago, and it is very important that you look at it once. Saying this, Ethan places the report on Brandon's desk. But Brandon says, "Excuse me," for a moment to his VIP client and tells Ethan in a low voice, "Look, Ethan, we do not have time to look at the folders of those beggars." Ethan says respectfully, "Sir, it would be very good if you looked at this at least once. It is very important." But Brandon pushes the report forward and says, "I do not want to see it. I have no interest in zero-balance customers." Saying this, he throws the report toward Ethan. Obliged, Ethan takes the report and returns to his own desk. The atmosphere inside the bank had returned to normal by then, everyone busy with their work. If you stop and think about this moment, it is almost painful. Brandon was given a second chance to fix his mistake, and he did not even know it. Truth was placed on his desk, literally on paper, and he pushed it away because his pride was sitting in his way. And honestly, in my own opinion, this is what arrogance does to people. It does not just make them rude, it makes them blind. It builds a wall around them so thick that even the truth knocking on the door cannot get inside. How many times in life are we offered a chance to correct ourselves and we miss it simply because we are too busy defending the version of ourselves we want to believe in? And so the second part of our story closes with a quiet reminder. Listening is one of the most underrated skills a person can have. Not the kind of listening where we wait for our turn to speak, but the kind where we truly let another person's words enter our heart. A junior employee, a stranger, a child. Sometimes the most important truth in our day comes wrapped in the smallest voice. The wise person is not the one who speaks the most, but the one who knows when to be quiet long enough to hear what really matters. The next day at exactly 11 a.m., Mr. Carter enters the bank once again. However, this time he was not alone. With him was a corporate attorney wearing a designer suit who had a leather briefcase in his hand. They draw everyone's attention as soon as they enter the bank. After that, Mr. Carter walks straight up and gestures for branch manager Brandon to come to him. Seeing the attorney and Carter's confidence, Brandon gets a bit nervous and fearfully steps out of his office to stand in front of Mr. Carter. Then Mr. Carter says to Brandon in a stern voice, "Mr. Brandon, didn't I tell you yesterday that the consequences of this behavior would be very heavy for you? The way you behaved with me yesterday is in no way professional or tolerable. Now get ready to suffer your punishment." Hearing this, Brandon is somewhat dumbfounded, but still he thinks to himself, "What harm can this ordinary man and his lawyer do to me?" Then Mr. Carter says, "You are being dismissed from the position of branch manager, and in your place, this bank's junior employee, Ethan, is being promoted as the branch manager, and from now on, you will have to oversee ordinary field jobs or loan recovery work." Hearing this, Brandon gets angry and starts saying, "Who are you to remove me from my position like this?" Then Mr. Carter calmly says, "You can consider me the owner of this bank because I own 60% of the shares in this bank. If I wanted, I could not just demote you but terminate you completely and put someone else in your place." Hearing this, all the employees and customers present in the bank keep staring at Mr. Carter in utter amazement. After that, the corporate attorney who came with Mr. Carter opens his briefcase and takes out an official document which was Ethan's promotion letter. He is officially announced as the branch manager. Then another letter is taken out and handed to Brandon, which read, "If you want to do field duty, you can stay in the company, but you can no longer sit in this chair as a manager." Seeing the official letter, sweat starts dripping from Brandon's forehead. To save his position, he folds his hands and starts apologizing to Mr. Carter for his mistake yesterday. But then Mr. Carter stops him and says, "What are you apologizing for? And why should I forgive you? The way you behaved with me is completely against our bank's core policies. Don't you know that any discrimination between rich and poor is forbidden in this bank? All customers must be treated with equal respect and professionalism." In fact, Mr. Carter had founded this bank himself with very little money in his pocket back when he was still a young father working 2 jobs and rocking baby Olivia to sleep at night. He had previously established rules in the board meetings that no one in this bank would be judged by their clothes or financial status. Everyone must be treated equally, and if any bank employee breaks this rule, a zero-tolerance policy will be adopted against them. And here, just for a moment, think about why these rules mattered so much to him. A man who had once been seen as nothing by the world, a man who had been turned away from doors before he built his own, knew exactly what it felt like to be measured by appearance instead of character. So when he wrote those rules, he was not writing them as a businessman. He was writing them as a human being who remembered. In my view, the most powerful kind of leadership is the one that never forgets where it came from. Money can change a person's address, but it should never change their memory. Mr. Carter also says, "I am doing you a favor by keeping you at least on a field job. Otherwise, I could have terminated you right now and ended your career if I wanted." Junior Ethan, who works in your bank and had no power in his hands, still came to me and politely wanted to help. Therefore, he is truly deserving of this manager position. At least he knows how to respect customers and does not judge them by looking at their bank balances. Saying this, Mr. Carter calls teller Jessica and reprimands her severely as well. He says, "I am forgiving you with a first warning, but in the future, if a client comes into the bank, do not judge them by their clothes or appearance. Professionally check their details in the system. If you had performed your duty properly yesterday, then I would not have had to unnecessarily go to that manager and face so much humiliation." Realizing her mistake, Jessica lowers her head and says, "Sir, please forgive me. I have made a very big mistake. I promise such unprofessional behavior will never happen again from now on." After that, Mr. Carter steps forward to leave with his attorney. And before going, he addresses the entire staff and says, "You have a lot to learn from the new manager, Ethan. Learn from him what professionalism is. It will be good for your careers. And remember, from now on, I will occasionally send secret auditors who will disguise themselves as ordinary customers and give me direct reports of your work." Saying this, Mr. Carter leaves from there. Outside the bank, his daughter Olivia was waiting for him in the car, and as he sat down beside her, he simply smiled and said, "Let's go home, sweetheart." Because for him, no matter how much power he held in that building, the most important title he ever carried was still the same one he had carried for the last 16 years' father. The entire bank staff learns a massive lesson from this incident and discusses among themselves that they must do their duties properly from now on, otherwise they might lose their jobs next time. After this incident, the environment of the entire bank changes, and everyone starts behaving extremely respectfully with the customers. News of Mr. Carter's actions spreads throughout the downtown corporate circle, and everyone starts praising his leadership. Everyone says to each other, "This is how a bank owner should be. Most shareholders are only busy with profits. They do not have a headache over how employees are behaving with clients." But Mr. Carter fulfilled his duty completely and taught a good lesson against corporate arrogance. And as the third part of our story finally rests, perhaps the most beautiful lesson is also the simplest one. Kindness is never wasted. Ethan did not help Mr. Carter because he knew who he was. He helped him because that is just who Ethan was, even when no one was watching, even when there was nothing to gain. And life has a quiet way of remembering people like that. So if you are reading this today and you feel like your small acts of kindness, your patience, your respect toward strangers, your gentleness toward people the world overlooks are going unnoticed, Please believe me when I say this, they are not. The universe keeps its receipts, and one day, in a way you may never expect, that kindness will find its way back to you.